Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash that like button the way that your ex-girlfriend boinks her good boy so that it reaches a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number 1, a 32-year-old woman used a pointy hole puncher on her date 100 times in a weed-induced frenzy and only received 100 hours community service. The judge says she had no control over her actions from a psychotic break. Meanwhile, tell me why I'm at the top of the Department of Homeland Security watch list. A man never would have been excused by his actions if he had done that. She probably cried and the judge fell for it. Moving on, the EU is planning on letting states deport failed asylum seekers and criminals. It looks like they want to overhaul their immigration system to allow mass deportations. I'm hopeful about this, but I'll believe it when I see it. The left is in full panic mode now, worrying that they'll lose the next election. And that's why they're backtracking on their rainbow utopia ideals. It was never about helping minorities. It was always about using them as a voter base to keep their power. Now that even the migrants have turned on them, they're trying to change course. Number 3, Trump claims that there are two genders, but historians say that's never been true. But who trusts today's woke historians anyways? They're making claims based on today's standards with zero evidence. This story is brought to you by the CBC, or Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is Trudeau's mouthpiece. God, I hope he's gone by the time I release this video. The CBC will lose most of its funding when Pierre Poilievre gets into power. Up next, this teacher admits to banging a 16-year-old and leaving claw marks on his back, as other students served as lookouts. We've seen this before, but the other reports never said other students were complicit in her crimes, or that she was digging her claws into his back. Maybe this is a good enough reason to get rid of the Department of Miseducation. Then again, maybe the only reason the state is going after these women is because too many teenage boys are getting laid these days. They really want more insults to do something awful so they can take more power away from people. Number 5, Robert Pattinson bores his stalker. He probably made them watch Twilight. Either that or he took them on a date and just complained about his life the whole time. It was probably so bad that the stalker had to go to the police station to turn themselves in because they were scared of him. I barely even remember watching Twilight years ago. All I remember is him being a vampire playing the piano while fighting a werewolf for Bella. Pathetic. Moving on, guys are going their own way these days, and they aren't even hiding it anymore. I guess we all know now why he can afford such a big truck. But it's not true you'll have a happy life if you don't have a wife. You'll certainly have a peaceful life, but the happy part is really up to you. Then again, maybe what he was trying to say in a caveman sort of way is that he's no happy because his wife is his life. Number 7, should a woman go to jail if they accuse a man of falsely raping them? Yes, for the same amount of time as the man would have received if he'd actually done the crime. And that, of course, would be considered going easy on them because rapists experience hell in prison, as everyone sees them as monsters and tries to end them. Many men face modern-day witch hunts where they're found guilty in the court of public opinion, even if they didn't do nothing. Up next, this insane person on Reddit says that if 11 million people need to be deported for you to be able to afford a house, then you don't deserve a house. If your success depends on the suffering of others, then you don't deserve or are entitled to success. So by that logic, wouldn't that mean that if illegal migrants make American citizens suffer, they aren't entitled to enter America? At this point, most Americans would also deport leftists and commies if it meant getting a house. But who needs a house when you can have Bitcoin? Number 9, this woman sounds pissed off, saying that now the companies aren't hiring due to DEI being done. She says she better not see any unemployed white males, that we should go out there and take those jobs and stop passing on them. Sorry, Pookie, but we've already looked elsewhere and built businesses and invested our money for passive income. We already adapted to a rigged labor market and now the jobs will go unfilled. We're self-sufficient preppers now. Moving on, who agrees that the best barrier to stopping illegal migrants is to stop all benefits? I agree, and that's why some states now require proof of citizenship if you want to put your kids in public schools. No more free babysitting services. If you eliminate the incentives, then they'll stop coming. Another way to reduce incentives is to put the military presence on the border as well as landmines. In 2004, when I went to Western Europe, there were guard towers guarding the borders. Today, those aren't even there. Number 11, here are the incentives that need to be cut. In California, 43% of food stamps, as well as 39% of students grade 1 to 12 are illegals. 66% of all births in that state are also by illegals, and they're paid for by the U.S. taxpayer. And 41% of illegals are also on welfare. Less than 2% are picking crops. So this has to stop. When my father first came to Canada in the 60s, there was no welfare, and he had to work on a chicken farm. He legally migrated here. You know that many illegals would never do that sort of job. Up next, this guy's probably going to bang her once and not commit. That's because he forgot her name and is taking her to Starbucks because they'll write her name on the cup. I didn't even remember that they wrote your name on the cups, and I haven't been there to buy a drink in over 15 to 20 years. Now, if only they would write women's body counts on those cups too. Plot twist though, it's actually his wife. Number 13, here's the look on your face when you thought you were going to get attention for wearing a house on your head, but Ye showed up with a naked girl. She stole his thunder for sure. He also wasted $4,600 on this stupid thing. Imagine your dad is Will Smith and you're still starving so much for attention that you're willing to wear that. To me, his face has that look that says, I lost the bet. Clearly Will slapped the wrong person. Moving on, Loki says he has an army. Tony Stark replies by saying we have Elon Musk and his army of weaponized autists. I correct that to say I have an army of bureaucrats. People don't realize that autism is a superpower. The parts of your brain usually allocated to socialization are wired for all kinds of other pattern recognition. You see and make connections before other people do, and in a world where AI copies human behavior, that gives you a massive advantage. Number 15, do you agree that seniors shouldn't have to pay property tax, state tax, as well as airport tax? If that happens, then the taxes will just rise on the young, and many of them will choose to leave the West. Boomers want it all. An easy, cushy life from beginning to end. People over 60 and people under 30 shouldn't be allowed to vote. One group is too young to understand the consequences of their vote, and the other is too old to face the consequences of theirs. Up next, I'm getting tired of tradcuck memes like this in my X timeline. Telling men not to coom and be lustful, and for women to dress modestly. How about giving people the freedom to make their own decisions instead of telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing? Men guarding their own thoughts is freedom. Allowing others to dictate them for you is not. The Karens are starting to migrate from the left to the right. Soon the right will be telling you how to live. Number 17, 2/3 of women have turned down sex because of concerns about their vaginal odor. One guy's wife even has a seashell tattoo on her inner thigh. When he puts his ear against that tattoo, he can smell the ocean. But it's kind of odd and fishy that there isn't an article talking about men turning down sex because of a woman's vaginal odor. Luckily, I've never been with anyone with a trout living in their twats. Moving on, women in the military are pissed off because they have to wear clear nail polish or have a French or American manicure in the Air Force. They're there to fight and not look pretty. I'm surprised they even let them get manicures or even grow out their nails. Maybe the next logical step is to force them to get their hair cut just the same as men do, for equality's sake. Meanwhile, how do we change this dress code into something more appropriate? Number 19, here's an important lesson for everyone. People don't want to hear your opinion. They just want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth. Yes, of course, because people are driven by confirmation bias. Also, people don't want to hear from other people that are smarter than them because that makes them envious. That's why the smartest people have to talk down others in order to be liked. Up next, are you ready for Amber? She has herpes, 6 kids, knows her worth, and isn't playing any games. I'm betting that some of those kids are mixed and are from multiple fathers. Come on, guys, one of you has to date her. You'll get an insta-family. All you need to do is add money. And the only thing she brings to the table are terrible decisions. She isn't even booty call material unless you want your schwing to turn green and fall off in the morning. Number 21, how is it that Fantastic Four keeps getting worse and worse? And the best version was 20 years ago now. The 2005 version is underrated and overhated, but it was liked enough to get a sequel, which is more than the 2015 version and probably the 2025 one as well. I remember skipping the 2015 version because of horrible casting, and the latest one looks absolutely awful. The only good thing about the new one is that it takes place in a retro-futuristic universe. I prefer the 2005 makeup version of The Thing versus the CGI. How does CGI get worse? We peaked as a civilization in the early to mid-2000s. Moving on, why is it that no one loves Mexico like the people who refuse to live there? I'd worry for my safety if I was a woman standing out there with this sign with a bunch of Mexicans burning things. But this is probably AI generated because the writing looks perfect, and that looks like an Iranian flag. Sure, people love Mexico, but they can't deal with the dangerous cartels. They need someone like Nayib Bukele to come in and do what he's done to El Salvador. Then people will actually want to stay there. Number 23 is a woman before and after hormonal birth control. Looks like she's pregnant without being pregnant. That's the point. The pill is tricking her body into thinking it is pregnant. But it looks to me like the birth control pill worked, because no one wants to have sex with her anymore. Looks to me like hormonal birth control also included a lack of personal control. I wonder if the birth control pill forced her to go to KFC as well. Up next, this TikTok star comes out as being trigender. Dear God, not another label. Just looking at they-thems is making my eyes bleed. But as far as I'm concerned, trigender really means trying to make up a new gender for attention. Because you're not really a TikTok star after all. She's probably going to try and make another flag out of this as well. It's not a new gender type, but probably a new psychological personality disorder. Make asylums great again. Number 25 on the last one, what the hell happened to Demi Moore? Looks like the deal got real with the endocrine running out. Obviously this isn't real and it was for the film The Substance. But it makes you think that there's more behind the surface going on in Hollywood. Looks like the remaining supply of endocrine was destroyed during the LA fires. That's probably why so many celebrities are looking haggard these days. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoyed this series and want me to keep making it, then donate it to PayPal and Subscribe Star links. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.